Welcome back, everybody. This is your host from Prothoughts, Saurabh, once again in front of you with new set of challenges for you. As you know, we every time we take up a few questions on the PMP related areas, and this time I have come up with a stakeholder knowledge management area. The stakeholder area is very extremely important for all of us to manage in practice. And I'm not going to just focus on the questions, but I'm going to focus on the how to solve. At the same time, my request to you, don't focus only on answers or the right answers, but focus on how to get to those right answers, right? So I hope you're with me. Once again, Saurabh here, and let's get kicked off. Question 1, here up on your screen. The project has been going well, except for the number of changes being made. See the first line itself. You can read between the lines now. The product of the project is being installed in seven different departments within the company and will greatly improve the departmental performance when operational. The team has selected the appropriate processes for the use on the project. The project manager is a technical expert, look at that one again, and has been trained in communications. Very vital piece of combination, right? A rare one, you will not find this. And managing people. Which of the following is the most likely cause of the project changes? My dear friends, you know every question will have a keyword. Focus on your keyword, as I had been mentioning in my previous sessions as well. The most likely, that's a keyword here. 4 options. Option 1, the project manager was not trained outright, because it's not, it's well, it's well trained, it's safe. So the option, the project manager was not trained in understanding the company's environment. I would keep it outside because it's trained project. We know that, right, from the statement itself. 2, the project should have more management oversight since it will result in such great benefits to the company. Looking at a project status so far, I think the project is going pretty well. And there's nothing mentioned about requirement of the project oversight or the delayed in terms of the project schedule, etc. I don't think this could be that. So this can be outside out. The third one, the project should have used more of a project management processes. Again, unless you use the proper project management processes, you will not see the kind of a status that you have. So nice status that you could see from the question perspective. Project is really going well. That means the project manager most likely using all processes. But rather than moving it out, I think we probably still keep it in the parking lot as usual. So let's see D1. Some stakeholders were not identified. The most likely answer to this kind of a situation in practice too. Have you faced this situation where you miss out identifying key stakeholders? It can follow not only the changes, but it can seriously have a bad impact on the project execution. So this could be the answer. So between C and D, which is the most likely? Obviously D. So the right answer is some stakeholders were not identified. I hope this is clear. Be careful about this kind of a situation where you can outright eliminate 2 or 3 options, which we did, A, B, C. Right answer is D. Next. Second question. Let's jump on. Here in front of you. You have been tentatively assigned to the project that has not yet received the final approval. Several stakeholders who will likely be involved or impacted by the project have already been identified. Stakeholders can be identified during which project management process groups? Straightforward framework based question. If you have read Rita enough, probably this is direct answer, right? Even without looking at the options, to be honest, I'm not even looking at the options right now. Stakeholders can be identified in any of the process groups: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, control, and closure. You know that very well. And now with that thought, let's quickly look at the options. This could be 15-second answer. That's it. Don't spend much of your time on this kind of questions in the exam. Option A, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling. A good option. Closing is not there. Wait. Option B, initiating and planning. Out. Option C, planning and monitoring, controlling. Out. Option D, monitoring, controlling, and closing. Out. Why? Because A has got 4. Though closing is not there, but it has all the 4 other respective processes which are mentioned. The right answer is A. Hope that was simple one. And if you get this in exam, I'm sure you can kill much before 15 seconds, in fact. So let's go to 3 here in front of you. Question 3. Which of the following statements best describe, keyword, best, how stakeholders are involved on a project? Option A. They help to determine the project schedule, deliverables, and requirements. B. They help to determine the project constraints and product deliverables. C. They help to determine the resource needs and resource constraints on the project. And D. They approve the project charter, help provide assumptions, and create the project management plans. What do you think? Look at the question once again. A bit tricky question. It says best describe how the stakeholders are involved, meaning engaged in the project, right? Let's see the first one very quickly. They help to determine the project schedule, deliverables, and requirements. Yeah, of course, they might help you. I understand stakeholders, right? Okay, fine. They help to determine the project constraints and product deliverables. May not be. We don't eliminate, but we can still keep it in a parking lot. They help to determine the resource needs and resource constraints on the project. Maybe. They approve the project charter, help provide assumption, create management plans. Maybe. Wondering, right? How can all 4, maybe. Even I also wondered when I look at the first time, this kind of a question. But then when I literally thought about it, you know what this question is asking? This question is asking yourself to be put in stakeholder shoes. That means if the option A, C, and D talks about project manager and team's job, right? There is only one element or one option which is little different, which happened before the project engagement, right? When you look at a wide list of stakeholders which can be engaged throughout the life cycle of the project, it includes those stakeholders which are high-level functional management people or high-level senior management people in the organization, including sponsor, whose core objective is to identify the project constraints and product deliverables before anything else. So when this kind of a tricky question is being posed in front of you, please do understand how best can they be involved. A, C, and D for sure, multiple stakeholders, you never know which role and response, but B for sure is going to be the most likely engagement reason for the stakeholders to be involved or engaged in the project, much before A, C, and D. That's a tricky one, but you need to be smart enough to outsmart this kind of questions. So the right answer is B. The next question, question 4, in front of you. I hope you are enjoying this. I'm sure you are. Question says, you know that some groups within your organization are going to provide input to the requirements that may impact your ability to develop a realistic schedule. Interesting, right? Managing stakeholder expectations is always important, needless to say. But achieving stakeholder satisfaction will be more critical within some groups than the others. All the following are the parts of team stakeholder management effort except, so this is a kind of a negative connotation question, it's asking except, so one to be eliminated. Which one? Let me repeat the last statement. All the following are the parts of team stakeholder management effort except one, determining stakeholder needs. Well, of course, that's required. That's by default involved in stakeholder identification and management. 2, identifying stakeholders, it says itself in a definition. 3, giving stakeholders added value. Do you get confused through this? Added value. There is a difference between value and added value. I'll come to that. Put up this in the parking lot. And the managing stakeholder expectation, that's the question, that's what the question is all about, any which way. So, how to answer this question? Even if you're a bit confused on this, since A, B and D are anyway correct answer, close your eyes and just mark C as the right answer here, right? That means C need to be eliminated. Now the logical reason, why should C not be the right answer? In fact, from a connotation perspective. When you say added value, you know what the question is referring to? A definition of gold plating. When you say value addition, that's a different thing. Added value is another different thing. Added value is nothing but a gold plating that you should not allow to do. That means within the same scope of work, you are doing extra work at the cost of your time and money. And that's called gold plating. And that's the reason that option to be eliminated. I hope that was simple enough. Either this way or that way. 10 seconds question. Don't spend much more, no more than 10-15 seconds maximum on these questions. Hope you are with me. Great. Let's get to the next one. Question 5 coming up on your screen. You are working on a project that requires the use of a stakeholder engagement assessment matrix. This tool can be used to identify, again, stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, guys. This is nothing but, even if I do not see the option, by definition, if you have read the RITA properly, you would know that talks about the current level of stakeholder engagement versus desired level of stakeholder engagement, right? That's pretty much a definition kind of a question. Let's see the option. Option A, additional stakeholders, wrong, out. B, variances from anticipated stakeholder involvement. Yeah, makes sense. Keep it. C, key relationship between stakeholders, out. And D, skill levels of stakeholders, no way. So you know the answer. Since A, C, D, anyway not the right proper answers. B, variances from anticipated stakeholder involvement. Map it with the definition that you read in Arita. What was that? Current level of engagement versus desired level of engagement, right? You got your answer there. That was simple enough. I wish all your 180 questions could be just simple as this.